Unlock your dream property with Meeks Realty Group, where Rich the Realtor makes real estate dreams a reality. Whether it's residential or commercial, we've got Charleston to Huntington covered. Your key to exceptional real estate experiences start here. Meeks Realty Group. Contact us at meeks.us.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
And a good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Senior producer Ryan Nicholson across the hall doing the thing this morning. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live comes to you from the Jarrett Construction Studios. Right on time, right on budget. Visit Jarrett-Construction.com. We're brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group. Your next ride and your next service can be found US 119 from Chapmanville to Logan to Belfry, Kentucky. Start your drive online at thornhillautomotive.com. Phone calls to the show, a service of Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly, Spring Street texting services provided by West Virginia's finest men's store, Tony the Taylor, Virginia Street. Tony's hand-tailored bespoke trunk show is continuing. He's got more trunk shows than what? Than a trunk, than an elephant factory. I don't even know what that means. But anyway, Tony does great stuff down there. You can buy one and save 25% off, or buy one regular price and get one free. Talking about things like custom tailored jackets, suits, trousers, and more. Visit Tony's Facebook page for more information or visit bestmastertailor.com. Welcome to the show. Coming up, thanks for the positive response we got on the show that Amanda Barrett and I did yesterday. Just doing a few practice runs here and there as her schedule allows before we debut Metro News Midday on this and other Metro News radio stations coming up on Monday. Do hope you'll check it out. It is day 2 of the boys high school basketball tournament, the Coliseum Convention Center. Early coverage up and running on Charleston's ESPN Radio, 106.7 FM, 1490 AM. Normally that's the way we roll throughout the tournament. However, we have the daytime games on ESPN and then the evening sessions on the WCHS network. However, today we're going to make a bit of a switch up, as we will have coverage of Nitro and Ripley later this morning around 11 o'clock or so here on WCHS. So we'll be breaking away from Talkline as best I understand the programming aspect of it to go to that Nitro Ripley game, and that game is being sponsored by the Nitro Convention and Visitors Bureau. So again, that'll be around 11 o'clock or so this morning. And a reminder that all 4 championship games can be seen on Saturday on Metro News Television. Download that app if you have not done so already. Coming up a little bit later on the show, I want to talk about a little thing called Read a Palooza. It's an annual fundraiser from the Read Aloud West Virginia folks. It's happening Thursday, April 3rd at the University of Charleston. Don Miller from the group will join us to talk about that. Plus, we got news out of Morgantown. I mean, for the second consecutive day, that seems to be dominating on everyone's social media, as Coach Darren DeVries announced late afternoon yesterday that what had been rumored, he's going to be heading to Indiana to be the head basketball coach there. This all comes following the controversy from the press conference and WVU being left out of the tournament. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show as well. Plus, your calls and texts are welcome too. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. Let's bring in our good friend now, nutrition experts, all dressed out in black today. Doing the Johnny Cash
absolutely
look. I said that when you walked in. I said, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Cash in the form of Millie Snyder. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for being here.
So good to see you.
It's great to see you as well.
Because I can only see a part of you because we have all this stuff in between us.
Yeah. It's not like it used to be, but maybe, perhaps,
yes,
next time,
yes,
we'll be in the new studio, which is the building, or it's the part of the building where the old studio was. Uh-huh. And we will be, I'm trying to picture it in my head. You will be sitting to my right there. and there will be cameras and so on and so forth.
Oh, my goodness.
Although I don't think the local show is going to be on camera. I'm sorry about that. I don't think so. I think
darn.
we're going to wait.
You mean I'm missing an opportunity?
Well, no, we'll have you back when Amanda and I start Metro News Midday. We'll take your message to the masses.
Oh, that's even better.
Across the state of West Virginia.
And by the way, my message needs to go to the masses.
It does need to go to the masses.
And I have to say, I am as serious as a heart attack because what my whole driving force is to help people avoid a heart attack, avoid health problems, if they would change their eating habits for something that's not just better, but something that is proven by time, because the Mediterranean concept, and please, everybody, listen up. This is not a diet. It's a way of life. You don't have to write anything down. You don't have to weigh your food. As long as you eat Mediterranean foods that are not processed with chemicals and the other things that go into our foods. In fact, tomorrow in our meeting, one of the things we're giving out is an informational is the stuff around ultra processed foods. And yeah, they taste good in your mouth, but they do damage inside your body. And that's what we want to address by changing our eating habits and giving up sugar. I know right now everyone's sticking their tongue out and saying she can't be saying that. Well, she is saying it. And sugar's not a friend. And by the way, I like sugar like everybody else, but it's not a friend. And I think we should strengthen our relationships with the ones who are friends and not the pseudo friends. And that's what we've been doing for a long time, because the recipe that you love was your mother's, and she got it from her mother, and she got it from her mother. In the meantime, the only thing that it isn't is TNT, which is a cute word for dynamite. And it does hurt us.
But I will say this, and you can, and by the way, I've got a couple texts for you ready to go here. I will say this. I think sometimes when we compare, when you talk about sugar specifically and things of that nature, sometimes maybe it's unfair to compare lifestyles from 100 years ago to what they are now, because those people, they did consume a lot of sugar, but they also did something. Yes. And they didn't have the ultra processed foods.
Well, that's true too, but also, and that argument has been given to me many, many times.
Oh, sure.
My grandfather worked all day long out in the garden, in the house. But in the meantime, he died at age 54.
Okay.
Because he ate incorrectly, although he was active and he really put in more than a day's work. He still put the bad foods in his body, and it did the same thing to his body that it does to our bodies today. That piece hasn't been changed based on just hard work. There are many people who do hard labor, but if they eat wrong and they throw down fast food and they throw down foods that are poorly put together, it's the same end game. And we mustn't kid ourselves simply by saying, well, because they worked hard. Yes, back then they didn't have some of the conveniences that would dig up the ground, that would fix the soil for planting. And now there are machines that actually do the planting.
Yeah.
And so my argument is not just to win an argument. I don't want to just win an argument. I want to help people.
You want to change lives.
That's what I want to do.
Well, can I read this text here? Because this is pretty good. This is a text that we got here. And I'm going to only read this text because I know that all the bosses are upstairs in a meeting right now. The big guys in. The president.
Do I need to get nervous?
The president of the company, Mr. Pelletier, is in the building today.
Wow.
And he's up there with all of the sales weasels upstairs right now. So I know they're not listening, so I can read this text.
Okay.
It says, Millie's message needs to go to the masses before the food we eat goes to our asses.
Wow. Thank you, whoever you are.
See, I can say that because they're upstairs.
I see. I got that.
They're not listening to me.
And people go on vacation and they go on a cruise. A woman came over to me some time ago and she said, what am I going to do? The ship that I'm going to be on serves food 24 hours a day. And I looked at her and I said, so?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because it's available 24 hours a day.
You got food in your refrigerator 24 hours a day, too.
Exactly right. So that means that you have to walk around with one of those feeding bags tied over your face so that you don't miss a lick?
I got a good friend of mine who is really into nutrition. I mean, he works at, he has been as long as I've known. He's actually a former boss of mine, and you'll hear him, cheap plug, on the Metro News coverage of the basketball games tomorrow. Speedy Bevins. As long as I've known Speedy, he has been.
I love that name.
Yeah, well, I think it's not his real name.
Oh, okay.
But Larry Speedy Bevins is a nutrition expert, and it has been. I went to work for him in 1993. And
I'd love to talk with him.
He was then as well. He may be listening today. So, okay. But anyway. He has always preached about buffets and things of that nature, because what happens is, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, I'm cheap. And if I pay my whatever fee to go to one of these giant trough restaurants, I feel like I should get my money's worth. And I'm not going to go and just get one plate. I'm like, well, I may be full, but I've paid $30 for this. I'm getting my money's worth. And that's why he always said, stay away from buffets.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I like him already. I don't know him, but he's telling us the truth.
Well, if he's
there are people who have gone to buffets, and before that plate is even clean, it's refilled, and not just once, but 2 and 3 times. And I promise you, Dave, they never tasted the first plate, the second or the third, because they're just eating to get food in their body. And I've seen it. I've seen it over the years of my life. Yeah. They're fun. They're fun to go to, but they're not fun what we do to ourselves, because the size that we have created. By the way, no, God didn't do this. God didn't say, and he shall grow up to be 300 pounds. That's not the way it worked.
Not the way it works. All right. So let's talk about these classes, because you offer these classes, wins, the wares, give us all that.
Goodwill, Prosperity Center, the most beautiful meeting rooms. And also, complimentary-wise, we provide water for everybody plus hot coffee, and there's no charge for the accoutrements that they offer us. And there is a nominal fee to join and a weekly fee, and we give great information, class activity, and interaction among ourselves, and group support. And I go back to what I brought to West Virginia, which was the Weight Watchers concept. And the thing that made it work was group support. Now, Weight Watchers is in a whole different mindset now. Everything is online. And what's missing is being able to look at each other and share what's going on for one and the other, and so on and so forth. And so group support means a lot.
It does. And plus you can learn a lot from each other too. Well, I tried this, or I tried that.
Exactly. And tomorrow we're actually going to be tasting homemade Old Ways, which is the name of the company that supports our information, granola that made yesterday at home. And we're bringing it in tomorrow.
I love some granola.
Well, you shall have some.
Okay, I was going to say you could have brought me some today.
I could have.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I didn't. I know, but I got another day or two. I hope.
It is always a pleasure to have you on the show, dear.
Thank you,
now tomorrow is the first day of spring officially.
It is?
Yeah, like 6:03. Okay. I think tomorrow morning is the first day of spring.
I'll probably be up. Yeah.
Well, I know I will be. Yeah. All right. So where might we see you out and about? Because you kind of altered things. This summer and this spring, will you be out doing stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I'm gonna. Well, one of the things I'm happiest about, I do have a not great back, and I've been using a cane, but I have a great trainer that I go to at Nautilus, and he has helped me get stronger. So the good news is I don't walk with a cane anymore. A little bit of weakness here and there, but got a couple friends every now and then. They'll give me an arm to lean on. But the fact that I'm without a cane, I want to start looking at some trips that I can take, and I don't want to have that burden of carrying a cane or slowing a group down if I'm with them. But I'm still going to be here, and I'm going to take care of my group, and I'm not going too far away.
All right. Millie Snyder, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, and it's great for me to be with you, Dave. Thank you.
9:21, the Dave Allen Show, and 580 Live is brought to you in part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. Coming up a little bit later on the show, we'll do a little bit on the WVU basketball coaching situation with Coach DeVries out the door headed to Indiana. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll check in with Wilson and Meadows live at the Capitol. And when we come back, Don Miller from the group Read Aloud West Virginia is here. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you a physical therapy assistant and looking for an opportunity in orthopedics, wellness, and athletic care? If so, Generations Physical Therapy is offering flexible work hours and an upbeat atmosphere. With 7 convenient locations, Generations may have a job designed for you. Visit generationspt.com.
Banking is not just about numbers. It's about people. Are you connected? Without a community bank, your financial journey might feel lonely. And who will you turn to when life gets complicated? From checking accounts to loans, Poca Valley Bank has you covered. We are here to support you with personalized service and genuine care across our 8 locations. Poca Valley Bank, your community bank where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com for more information. Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
Injured? Call Morgan & Morgan. We'll always be here for the people, not the powerful. We'll always be here for you.
Office 222 Capitol Street, Charleston. Cases will be handled by West Virginia licensed attorneys. The attorney in this ad is not licensed in West Virginia. ForThePeople.com.
I'm Doug Leach, founder and CEO of Ascension Recovery Services. We've done a number of projects with Jarrett Construction. Finding people that really care about what they do and care about what we do is pretty unique. In Jarrett Construction, they care. They're really, really good people. Good people do the right thing, and they're very skilled. They have all the qualities that make up just a perfect construction partner, and they just built us a phenomenal building.
Right on time, right on budget. Call on Jarrett Construction.
924, Ryan Nicholson, our producer today. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Snap Fitness. Snap has a wide array of professional wellness services, customized personal training, licensed recovery experts, and a staff of dietitians. 5 convenient locations: 2 Charleston, Hurricane, Winfield, Barbersville, and Milton. Visit snapfitness.com for more details. Coming up a little bit later on, the show will go live to the Capitol, the belly of the beast, for Wilson and Meadows, live at the Capitol for Talk Line today. We'll talk to them. Plus, I want to get into a little bit about this, and I know they're going to cover it ad nauseum, but I want to get a little bit about what a 48-hour period it's been for the West Virginia University basketball team. They go on Sunday night from not making the tournament, and then the hoopla over the press conference with the governor and the attorney general on Monday, and then last night it was announced that Coach DeVries is leaving to go to Indiana. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. Plus, we got plenty of other texts to get to as well. The event is called Read-A-Palooza. It's an annual fundraiser for the Read Aloud West Virginia program happening Thursday, April 3rd, 5:30 till 7:30 at the Irma Bird Gallery on the campus of the University of Charleston. Dawn Miller is with the program. She joins us now in the Jarrett Construction Studios. Dawn, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me back.
Did you, when you were encountering Millie Snyder out in the hall, did you get some of that Millie like rubbing off on you about all the things, and because she's kind of a big old personality.
Oh, Millie's great. I've known her for years.
That's what I said. Yeah. You said in the hall to her that you hadn't seen her in a long time. What's your all story? How do you know Millie? I mean, everybody knows Millie. But
decades ago, I was a newspaper reporter, and I interviewed Millie, and yeah, everybody knows Millie.
Everybody knows Millie. All right, explain the program overall before we get to the specific event. Read Aloud West Virginia. Talk about the program.
Sure. Thank you. Read Aloud West Virginia is a homegrown West Virginia organization, as you know, and we motivate kids to read for fun, because when kids read for pleasure, they can't help but get better at it. There's all kinds of interesting science on this, including what we're increasingly learning to understand. One of the biggest factors in reading comprehension is background knowledge. So if a child is interested in a subject, whether it's dinosaurs or cars or whatever, and they read books on that subject, they build background knowledge. And then when they go to school and they get these good lessons at school, all that background knowledge comes to play, and their reading scores just climb.
Does it matter, in your opinion, whether kids are reading actual hard books like we grew up on, or if they're reading them digitally, because there's a lot of, I say that because there's a lot of science that says that, and we talked about cell phones in the classroom on the show yesterday. Right. There's a lot of science that says that it's a lot better for them not to read it online. But then there's also science that says, well, it really doesn't matter.
That's right.
Where are you?
And it might matter depending on the age.
Or the kid.
Or the kid, that's right. So the early indications are that print is better, and the younger you are, the better it is. Screens are not good for us, and the longer you can delay exposing children to screens, the better for them.
Are you listening, parents in restaurants right now that give your kid a phone to keep them quiet, how much damage you're doing? But that's editorial comment.
Okay, so be easy. People have to get through the day.
Yeah.
Some grace here. But we do know some really smart cognitive scientists have been studying our brains and studying kids' brains. And what happens when we expose ourselves to screens, it actually changes how our brains work, as opposed to how when we expose babies and young children to print and pictures on a page. Now, I have this conversation about twice a week because I'll go do a presentation and middle schoolers will ask me and adults will ask me and teachers will ask me and parents will ask me. And the technology is so new, we have a limited amount of information about it. The early indications are that babies, toddlers, preschoolers, elementary kids do better with print. Adults also do better with print, but I'm going to tell you, I can carry more electronic books in my bag than I can paper books. But I learned to read before all this technology. So my skills are pretty well established. So that early indication is possibly that it's not as hard on us as adults as it is on the little ones.
Where are we, and I'll get to your event momentarily, but this kind of stuff fascinates. Where are we on reading comprehension? Because we hear all of these studies that come out about how West Virginia is lagging behind other states, and then we hear how the United States is lagging behind other countries, not only on reading, sometimes it has to do with math or science or things of that nature. Overall, are we getting better?
We are getting better. There's some good things happening. There was some poor methods that became popular 20, 30 years ago that have been shown to really not be good for kids. Some people who went to school 40, 50 years ago will be happy to know that the people in education have figured out that you really do have to have intentional instruction that includes sounding out words. There's a lot more to it than that, but they are across the state working on improving that. And it takes time. Things are not done at the same pace everywhere, but I'm seeing improvements in the schools we're in, the people we interact with. I am seeing a lot of good changes. So West Virginia actually bounced back from when the schools were closed during COVID and then all the test scores tanked, which was to be expected. If they didn't go down, it would be an indication that they weren't getting anything at school, right? So, but West Virginia bounced back from that. And I think West Virginia is now poised to see reading scores steadily climb as these improved methods become regular, become widely established at schools around the state.
It is interesting to hear you say that when you said, those of us that, not you, but I'm older than you, but those of us that went to school in 40, 50 years ago, and I'll think, hey, wait, that's me.
Yeah, that's right. Me too.
That they're starting to see that maybe the quote unquote old ways weren't so bad after all. Isn't that true of society in general? Sometimes we look back and we say, really, it wasn't as bad as what we thought it was. Let's talk about this event April 3rd at UC.
Thank you. Yes, this is Read-A-Palooza. This is our big fundraiser, friend raiser. It is a nice after work party. Tickets are $45. We have some amazing sponsors who allow us that makes it possible for us to put this on so that the money raised, we have a little wine pool. The sponsors make this possible. At the top of the list is Encova, followed by Moses Auto Group, United Bank, the Elliott Foundation. These sponsors really understand, as all Read Aloud supporters do, that reading well is education for sure, but it's also healthcare and it's also economic development. And the theme this year gets to that. The theme this year is a ticket to anywhere, because reading literally can take you anywhere while you're reading and then also in life.
You mentioned your sponsors there, and in COVID, Moses, and some of the other ones in there. Are there still opportunities available for sponsors at this point?
There are.
Okay.
There are.
Sell it to us.
Our sponsors make it possible for us to have 1,000 some volunteers out around the state and manage that. They make it possible for us to give away 30,000 books to children last year, and we are a lean little organization. We have 4 staffers and about 1,000 volunteers, and we save paper and we try and put as much of our resources as we can into books for kids and getting readers in front of kids and pushing the mission to motivate kids to read for fun.
And as far as, the needing of sponsors, and you mentioned those, the big ones, but individual sponsors are always welcome. Exactly. Community organizations, your Rotary, Kiwanis, anybody like that could probably get involved in this as well.
Right. That's right. And if somebody wants to just get involved and see how it goes, get to know us more, they can find us at our website, readaloudwv.org. You can buy tickets there. You can volunteer to be a reader. You can get more information. The party should be nice. It's a couple hours after work, so it's low stress. You don't have to change clothes. You just you don't have to dress up. You just come and enjoy some fellowship with some friends. There's a wine pool that's gotten very popular the last few years.
Explain a wine pool to me.
So we get volunteers, we get donors who give us bottles of wine, and each one is worth at least $20, but many of them are worth $30 or $40 or $50. And then at the event, you buy a wine pool ticket and you get a random bottle of wine. So you're at the very least, you're going to get your $20 worth back. Okay. But you might get one of the more expensive bottles of wine, which is always fun and creates a nice little, pardon the pun, creates a nice little buzz there.
You said that, not me.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. And by the way, I will say this: if you've never had a chance to visit the Irma Bird Center there where this is being held, that's a beautiful venue.
I think it's the most beautiful room in town.
It is. It's very, very. I went there for an event a couple of years ago. I'd never been there either, and I was like, man, I didn't know about this. I mean, University of Charleston's got a nice little gym there.
They do.
Gym being GEM, by the way.
Right. And all the art in that room is by women artists. And then the light that comes in the windows, it's just so beautiful. It's the room where the old library was on campus before they built the new one.
Well, Donna, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I do need to get this in here. But Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Fresh Air Filters of Taze Valley. Fresh Air, your trusted filter experts for both your home or business. 304-440-1104, or visit freshairfilters.us, because everyone deserves fresh air. Readapalooza, University of Charleston's Irma Bird Center. It is Thursday, April the 3rd. Starts at 5:30. Will last till 7:30 or so. Give us the contact information. Where can people get tickets? Is there a deadline to get tickets? Give me all the stuff.
Okay, sure. Website is readaloudwv.org, and you can buy tickets online there. There's no deadline to buy tickets. You can buy tickets at the door on April 3rd if you like. They go up in price a little bit. And if all else fails, just give us a call, 304-345-5212.
All right, Don. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, and I could have you on sometime when we're not talking about a specific event. I'm always glad to promote the event every year, but to have you on just to talk about this whole, because like I said, I'm kind of a geek I'm kind of a geek in general, but when it comes to this kind of stuff about sociology and how and kids learning and various things and stuff, that stuff really interests me.
Me too. Yeah. I love those things too, Dave. I would love to chat with you.
All right, anytime. All right, appreciate you being here. Give us the website again for more information.
readaloudwv.org.
All right.
Thank you.
Don Miller, I appreciate you being here. It's 24 minutes away from 10. Rest of the show is yours until we go live to the Capitol with Wilson Meadows. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony Vitaylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented in part by Husson's Pizza. This month, get a large 18-inch pepperoni pizza and a pepperoni calzone, $21.99. Eat in, pick up, or get delivery. Find your closest Husson's at HussonsPizza.com. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
By the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses bring first-class businesses to your community.
Spring has sprung at Yared's. Shop Yared's in the Bridge Road shops for the latest on-cloud and Birkenstock shoes for both women and men. Plus designer handbags, accessories, and shoes from Tory Burch. Don't miss Yared's spring selection, including their huge assortment of jewelry and accessories. Free gift wrapping available. While you're here for the tournament, come shop in between games for that special someone or yourself. Yared's at the Bridge Road shops, Charleston. Call 342-SHOE. Open 10 to 6 Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5 Friday and Saturday, and 12:30 to 5 on Sunday.
Nobody does President's Day like Thornhill. Hey, it's Sydney, inviting you to Thornhill Ford Lincoln on the Thornhill Motor Mile, where you can find the best of the best in presidential savings. We're talking Benjamins. New 24 Ford Escape or Bronco Sport, available up to $6,500 off. 24 F-150 STX, up to $8,000 off. 24 Expedition, up to $14,000 off. You want it, and Thornhill has it. Plus, Thornhill's 10-year, 150,000-mile warranty with your new purchase. Visit us online at thornhillford.net and on the road to total savings, US 119 Chapmanville. Qualify for all offers through Ford Motor Credit. See Thornhill for all details.
We all want what's best for our kids. Safe, healthy choices. But some politicians, right here in West Virginia, are going way too far. They're pushing a ban on safe ingredients in our grocery stores. That ban would jack up prices on almost everything we buy. Banning these types of ingredients would eliminate 60% of the food on grocery shelves, hiking prices even more when we're already struggling. Worse, it would cost thousands of jobs all across West Virginia. Governor Morrissey can stop this reckless ban and veto it. We just can't afford it. It goes way too far. There are more sensible solutions. It should be our choice, not the government's. Call Governor Morrissey at 304-558-2000. Tell him to keep growing our economy and stand with hard-working West Virginians at yourcartyourchoice.com. Paid for by Americans for Food and Beverage Choice, with support from the American Beverage Association.
22 minutes away from 10 on this Wednesday edition of the show. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Bridge Valley, offering custom tailored trainings to supply skilled graduates and apprenticeships for your company. Visit bridgevalley.edu. Man, I got a lot of texts to get to today. By the way, rest of the show is open to you. Text, calls, whatever. Around 9:55-ish or so after the break, we will go live to the Capitol to talk to Wilson and Meadows. See what's going on there. I saw their lineup today, by the way. It's a pretty packed lineup. I think the governor's on the show today and others, so I'll let them explain that to you. But, yeah, pretty packed lineup for the boys at the Capitol today. Biggly Piggly Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text 304-935-5008. Let me knock out some text here. Text says, well, looks like Gasbag Patrick Morrissey and his sidekick J.B. McCuskey have to sue DeVries for leaving to Indiana, says a texter. I don't think that's going to happen. Text says, Dave, could you tell us which delegates voted to remove religious and philosophical exemptions from SB 460 and the House and the Health and Human Resource Committee yesterday? I did a little checking because this text actually came in before the show, and I actually did a little checking on that, and I did not have the information in front of me, but I sent it out to a couple of people, so we'll see if this helps. Brad McElhenney, friend of the program who's at the Capitol today, talked to Brad, and he said that it was Mike Pushkin that tweeted the final committee vote in the bill, and Brad retweeted it. But the amendment, says Brad, was what really made that change, and there was a separate vote on the amendment. And he goes on to say, this is Brad, that maybe Pushkin has a roll call on the amendment, but I do not. Also, another friend of the program who I reached out to said it was a voice vote in committee, and there was no way to know unless you were there in person. Roll call was not demanded. And this person goes on to say the Health Committee offered to strike and insert amendment and remove the exemptions. Voice vote adoption. When it gets to second reading on the floor, the effort to amend the exemptions back into the bill will be fierce, says a texter. So I hope that helped out a little bit. But bottom line, from what I understand, in the Brad and the other person, my inside sources, who shall remain nameless, who I text, said that that it was not done by voice. So it was like secret ballot. Let's see. Dave says the texter went to the girls' state tournament last week, and the seats and the Civic Center still stink. I guarantee you at the SSAC were to threaten Mayor Goodwin with removal of the tournament, she would get them fixed. They were terrible 10 years ago and worse now, says the texter. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented in part by your hometown baseball team, the Charleston Dirty Birds. Going to be a great season of Dirty Birds baseball at Go-Mart Ballpark. Tuesdays are $2 Tuesdays, $2 tickets, popcorn, hot dogs, sodas, and more. Wednesdays, bring your dogs to the park for Woof Wednesday. Thursdays are Thirsty Thursdays, $1 beers and waters. Fridays are Freebie Fridays with all kinds of giveaways throughout the season. Fireworks after the game on Saturdays, and Sundays are Family Fun Days. Kids 12 and under get in for free. For more, visit dirtybirdsbaseball.com. Text said, this is going back to my interview with Don Miller. Our parents gave us quarters to go play pinball and video games in smoke-filled restaurant game rooms. We turned out great, says the texter. Well, I will say, I was part of that generation too, I guess, that grew up with things like that. Especially the smoke-filled part. Cigarette smoke today would damn near kill me. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'll tell you a quick story. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were traveling, and there was a certain restaurant, not in this area, a certain restaurant, and we wanted to go in and grab a quick bite to eat. Well, it was a restaurant/bar, but we were there at like 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And so I had eaten at this restaurant before, she had not. And so I said, well, let's go try this place. And so we go in and open up the door. And I guess because we were the only people in the place that the staff had no issue with smoking, because they probably were thinking, well, we're getting ready for the dinner crowd. Who in their right mind comes to a bar/lounge to eat lunch on 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon? That would be me and my wife. And so we walked in, took one step, and walked right back out the door, because I got girly lungs these days, man. I can't handle it. I cannot handle cigarette smoke at all. Little side note there, in case you were wondering. If you're thinking about lighting a cigarette around me, please don't. And what's interesting about that was when I got into radio, I was the only person in the entire building in 1988 at 17 years old at the radio station where I started. I was the only person that did not smoke. Right down to the janitors, to the secretaries, the salespeople, all the everybody smoked. And it didn't seem to bother me then, but gosh, I cannot stand it now. So, just in case you were wondering. Texas boy, the governor and the attorney general looked bad after North Carolina won their game going away. We all know that if WVU was in that game, they would have blown it and lost, says a texter. Text says, why are they sniffing the seats? Okay. Text says, Dave, got a solution to allow kids to work at 13 and 14. Let's just be like the Amish. Let them drop out of school in the 4th grade and go to work, because the legislature has destroyed public education and they're taking books out of libraries. They don't have internet on phones and computers. They read what they want, says a texter. So the big story, again, seems to revolve around sports. Yesterday, it was the comments made by Governor Morrissey and Attorney General McCuskey about WVU being left out of the NCAA tournament. Now, those comments, of course, were made on Monday, but we talked about them in the chat. I actually had McCuskey on the show yesterday, and he was also on Talkline, and Governor Morrissey will be on with Talkline today as well. And now comes word, not really that shocking, that after 1 year, Darren DeVries is bolting Morgantown for Indiana. Greg Carey, an in-depth story posted about it this morning, WVMetroNews.com. This is the third time in 21 months that WVU will be on the hunt for a new men's basketball coach. Now, interesting were the comments that WVU Athletic Director Ren Baker made, who in his statement said, and I've shortened it a little bit for airtime, but in his statement said, quote, I made it clear to him, meaning the coach, that WVU is committed to invest in him and to provide him the resources needed to compete in the Big 12 and nationally. Ultimately, though, he decided to move on, and I want to thank him for that, says the texter. Now, did he mean I want to thank him for moving on or thank him for his time? I think he probably meant his time spent there at WVU. And when I read into Ren Baker's statement there, I mean, to me, it says, look, we were willing to give you what you felt you needed, but you left anyway. That's the way I read it. And that's one of the things when coaches leave, whether it's West Virginia or Marshall or any other program, that they say as well, or when they're weighing whether they want to go to a particular school, one of the things they always look at is the facilities. What kind of facilities are you going to give me? I need an indoor practice facility. I need all these other things. And the way I read it from Ren Baker was like, hey, we were willing to give you what you want, but you left anyway. That was my read. The Mountaineers went 19-13. And they had 10 wins in the Big 12, and a couple, if you'll recall, a couple of big-time non-conference wins over Gonzaga and Arizona. And then after being left out of the big dance, they declined to take part in any other postseason tournaments. The Indiana job was once one of the most coveted positions and programs in the country. I mean, you think about it's Indiana, Bobby Knight and all that went along with it. That's been a long time since then. As Greg Carey's story points out at the website, the Hoosiers have made the NCAA tournament only twice since 2017 and have had 4 Sweet 16 appearances, 4 since 1994. And now to the money. DeVries had a 5-year deal with a salary of $2.8 million this season. Had he stayed, his salary would have gone up $100,000 over the next 4 years. Now that he's gone off to one big John Mellencamp video in Indiana, he will owe back 37.5% of his remaining contract. So at least the Gold and Blue is going to get something back. So I guess the question is what's next? Been a rough couple of years for Mountaineer basketball. Think about it. Some have said they want John Beilein back, and others, and you knew this was coming. The cries are going out to bring Coach Huggins back. I don't know about that myself. I mean, I will say this from all accounts. Hugs has done a good job of getting his head on right. And he seems to be doing well. I actually ran into him at an event last year in Morgantown. And this was after all the incident in Pittsburgh and the whole deal. And he had resigned or left the program, whatever. And he looked like the old Bob Huggins to me. And when I say the old Bob Huggins, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. He didn't have a drink in his hand. He was drinking a Diet Coke, I think, when I saw him at this particular function I was at. And he was, jovial and kind of laughing with the crowd and so on and so forth. And so there's a lot of people that want Hugs back. Make no mistake about it. I just don't know that would be the right move in my opinion. And I was thinking about this earlier this morning. From the time that I was a kid, through my teenage years, college years, into adulthood, when you talked about WVU, you automatically thought Gail Catlett and Don Nealon. And it seems like they were there forever. Like I said, I was a kid when they were both hired, and they took me through my teenage high school years when I started working in radio and running West Virginia University ball games. It was Nealon and it was Catlett, and it seemed like they were there a long time. But I think the days of having coaches that stick around for several years may be long gone. I'm hopeful, though, that with Rich Rod back in Morgantown, and I didn't know whether that was the right, and I still don't know. Nobody knows whether that was the right call or not. I was initially for it, but now that he's back in Morgantown, and for that matter, let me bring in the alma mater here, Marshall. Now that you've got Tony Gibson and Marshall, And I'll throw Marshall basketball coach Corny Jackson in there as well. At least now you have coaches in place that I think get the culture of their respective schools. And with Tony Gibson at Marshall, you get someone who is a West Virginia being from Boone County, about an hour or so away from Huntington, and Corny Jackson of Oak Hill, and of course Rich Rod. And you get people, I think, that get the culture of these schools, which I think is important. It's so hard. I mean, put yourself in their position. If you were a coach and you suddenly had to go coach in Mississippi, are you going to get it? Or in Utah, something, especially in smaller areas. West Virginia's a rural area. You get that kind of thing. I don't know. Wilson and Meadows will cover this more on Talk Line. And I'm told an emergency edition of Three Guys was taped last night. So we'll see what happens there. Text says, Ren Baker was clearly disappointed in Darren DeVries, as were almost all basketball people in West Virginia. I don't wish him ill, but I certainly do not respect him in any way, says the texter. Unrelated to that, text says, we need to support our veterans and get behind them on the fight with Elon and Trump cutting jobs and their benefits. We need to stand with veterans, says a texter. Text says, you think the ex-WVU coach didn't want to go to the NIT because he was leaving. Possibly. I mean, they not only turned down that tournament, but they also turned down that tournament, the Big 12 deal that they do in Vegas. They turned that down as well. Text says, wouldn't it be interesting if we would start winning again with two old coaches, Rich Rod and Hugs? Interesting indeed. Older adults should protect themselves against severe respiratory disease. Talk to your doctor about flu, COVID-19, and RSV vaccines. Risk less, do more. Get started. Vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text, 304-935-5008. We're going to take a break. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
By the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for shopping locally.
You've probably heard of the credit union difference, but have you ever experienced it? Members Choice West Virginia Federal Credit Union is a community-focused, member-first, not-for-profit, and democratically controlled cooperative. Our accounts are insured up to $250,000 by the NCUA, and all our profits are returned to members in the form of dividends. We offer a full suite of financial products to serve your needs, and our field of membership covers 20 counties across the state of West Virginia. Make the switch to MCWV today and learn more at memberschoicewv.com. Restrictions may apply.
Owning a home comes with responsibilities. The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office wants to remind you of a very important date. As of April 1st, unpaid 2024 taxes are considered delinquent. If you haven't paid your taxes by now, you have until May 1st to avoid publication. Remember, after April 1st, you cannot pay the half-year fee. You must pay the full year amount. Again, May 1st is the deadline to avoid publication. Visit kanawsheriff.us to learn more about paying your 2024 taxes.
Retirement is more than a dream. It's a destination. Yet the journey can feel uncertain. At 4th Avenue Financial, they guide you with expertise and care. They help you navigate the questions. Am I on the right track? Or how do I ensure lasting income? Tailoring plans to your unique vision. They bring peace of mind to your retirement journey. Trust in their experience, proven through every market's ebb and flow. 4th Avenue Financial. Retirement done right. Get started at 4thavenuefinancial.com.
Securities offered through Jenny B. Cole Financial Incorporated. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Jenny B. Cole Advisors Incorporated.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy tackles pressing health issues, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, RSV, and more. It's a podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians, aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles in and beyond the great state of WV. It is a valuable resource. Check out the latest episodes, WVMetroNews.com, under the podcast menu, and start your journey towards better health today. Biggly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline, 304-345-5858. Tony the Taylor text, 304-935-5008. Text says, Dave, I was the one that sent in the text about the seats at the Civic Center. I was referring to the text that said that the Civic Center smelled bad. Why are people sniffing the seats? Says a texter. Okay. All right. Text says, please bring back Hugs to WVU. He and Rich Rod will be an unbeatable combo in debauchery and immorality. Let me see. Man, I got a lot of text on this. Text says, we've tried the best. Now let's bring back one of the all-time breasts. Did I say breast? All-time best in Coach Huggins. That's a texter. Text says, Huggins is one of the most approachable, outgoing big names I have ever met. And Neil Brown, too, both extremely kind and appreciative of the fans. Text says, there's no loyalty, as well there shouldn't be, other than Bobby Pruitt turning down Houston for a lot of money. Find me a coach anywhere in the country that has turned down a job for more money to say, I'm going to stay here with my family. It doesn't happen because the jobs are short term. My dad coached college football for 34 years. We moved 7 times before I was in college because you had to take the better pay everywhere you went because the jobs are short term. There are no Joe Paternos 44 years, says a texter. I wonder who that texter is. I'd like to know who that texter is. Text says, great to see West Virginia legend Homer Hickam on Fox News last night during the coverage of the astronauts' return to Earth. A great day to be an American. Has Homer ever been on your show? Yes, he has. We share the same semi-agent. So, yes, he has been on the show. Text says, Huggins can't recruit, did nothing at WVU after Beeline players left, could never get 4- and 5-star recruits. Hall of Fame coach should be getting better players, says a texter. Text says, Dave, we are talking about a multi-million-dollar bridge across in Ohio, but we can't maintain our existing bridges, says a texter. Coming up on tomorrow's show, Anna Pyle will be here. She has been named the first female chief of detectives in the history of the Kanawha County Sheriff's Department. She's on the show tomorrow, plus our old buddy Greg Thomas is here as well. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Pinnacle Consultants. Their services involve developing comprehensive management plans to outline strategies for controlling and minimizing asbestos exposure. Perfect for commercial property owners and managers. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Let's go live to the Capitol and check in with the boys, the men, Wilson and Meadows. How we doing, guys?
What's up, Dave Allen? Morning.
Yeah, you know, it's turned into sports line today because that's what most people wanted to talk about was the WVU basketball carousel. It's been has it not been a wild 48 or 72 hours or so in the world of college basketball in West Virginia?
That would be putting it mildly.
Indeed. So,
and we will continue that conversation. Brad Howell's going to drop by. We'll get Greg Hunter on later. We'll get your reactions as well to the news that Darren DeVries is headed to Indiana. Probably the only story that got upstaged, the fact that we have the governor and Senator Shelley Moore Capito also joining us on the show today. So lots to get to over the next couple of hours, Dave.
What is the senator, what's on her mind today? What's Senator Capito?
Well, you know, we might be sending in, the National Guard to Indiana to reclaim the basketball program. We might go that direction and see what she thinks about that. So, all
right.
I kid, of course.
Okay, you kid, of course.
Kinda,
so what happened up there yesterday of significance?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's what
vaccination.
You go ahead.
A watered down version of the vaccination exemption bill did get through House Health Committee yesterday. We'll spend some time on that later this week, but I don't see. Well, we'll see what happens when it gets to the House floor and if it gets any consideration over on the Senate side. So that's going on. Otherwise,
All right. Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
Oh, appreciate you too, Dave. Sorry about last night, by the way.
All right. I don't know what happened last night, so.
Wyoming East happened.
Oh, yeah. They beat my Logan Wildcats last night. Great game, though. Great game.
Yes, it was.
It was a fantastic game. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll check in with you coming up at 10:06.
All right, buddy.
All
See
right.
you, man.
We got to go. I'll see you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS AM, W243DRFM Charleston, and W283AQ Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here too.